Hey everyone, this is the Earn Your Title podcast. My name is Danny Dumas, and I've got a tough one today. I usually talk about fun things, exciting things, adventures, doing hard things, and I just wrapped up a episode or a series of episodes about doing hard things, running and mountain climbing and doing adventure races, and those are physically hard. And today, I have the opportunity to talk about something that is going to be hard. And like getting ready for this, I got a little emotional, thinking about how this would come across. But I was scrolling through Instagram, and there was a lady she was a widow, and the captions were the 6 things I wish my husband would have told me before he died. And this was a young man that died of a tragic causes, unexpected. And as a man, as a husband, obviously I want to live forever. I want to live, I want to live an awesome life, but I know the reality is that at some point I'm going to pass away. At some point I'm going to die. And it's really interesting as humans. Most of the time we don't talk about that. We don't, maybe in this culture, at least in the US, we don't discuss it. It seems taboo, but it's a guaranteed, I'm very blessed. My dad's in the 70s and he's talked about dying. He's talked about his wishes, for a funeral. And while it's sad, it's real. And he's giving us a gift. He's giving me a gift of, he said, I want to be, he said, I'd like to be cremated for my funeral. He's like, but whatever will make you comfortable is okay with me. I'm like, man, that's thank you, cause maybe they want to have a casket, I come from a family that has talked about it. I've thankfully never lost a parent. All my grandparents are gone. All my biological grandparents are gone. And today I'm gonna ask you a few questions, and I'm gonna encourage you to write down your answers or record your answers. Some of this today will be my answer to Andrea and the kids if I pass away. And really, it's weird when I say when I'm gonna die. I'm 44. I am basically halfway through my life. If I live to be 90, I'm halfway there, and I'm going to pass away. And if we go with the odds, guys, we're going to pass away before our wives. It's just the way, men live, or women live longer than men. And so this is going to happen. So the first few questions are practical. And then the last few questions are emotional, and it's a gift. I want you to think of this as a gift. And this could be writing it down. It could be having a conversation. Maybe your wife doesn't want to talk about it. She just doesn't want to think about it. Write it down, put it in a safe place, let them know, hey, in case I die, here you go. At work as a firefighter, we have a letter. And this letter is who we want at our funeral, what kind of funeral we want to have, who we want to contact our spouse if something happens at work. Like who, you want the chief and the chaplain, it's a hard thing to write down. You write down these answers. And, in my job, I've told people that their loved ones have died, and it's a tough moment. And so I want you to see this as a gift to your family that you can give them, that takes away some of the concern, takes away some of the doubt, that takes away the feeling of responsibility of getting it right to honor you. So tell them how you want to be honored. Tell them. So the first is practical. The question is, are they going to be financially taken care of? And I think as a man, as a provider, as a husband, this should be number one on our list. I have term life insurance. And now I'm not selling anything. I'm not a life insurance salesman. I'm not sponsored, although if anybody'd like to sponsor me, it'd be pretty cool. But yeah, get some term life insurance. It's not super expensive. I think I got $1 million for me and $500,000 for my wife, and we pay less than $100 a month, and it's worth it. I don't want my wife and family to be financially burdened by my death. And in fact, they'd be much well off financially. So hopefully they don't get any weird ideas. But yeah, are they financially going to be taken care of? That's really important. Another question I think is important is, are you physically taking care of yourself right now so that the day that you die is much further into the future? That's an important question. Are they financially taken care of? Are you taking care of yourself so that this day doesn't have to happen for a really long time? The next thing, in case of your passing or in case of your incapacitation, how long do you want to be in a vegetative state? Now, I don't know the right answer for this, but to me, a week. Andrea, if you're listening to this and I get hit in the head and I've got no brain activity, get get two doctors' opinion, maybe three. Talk to my firefighter friends, ask them what they think on the medical side. And if it's been a week and there's multiple doctors saying nothing's going to happen and you've prayed for a miracle and it didn't happen, pull the plug. I don't want to be laying in a bed for years and years, unable to think or move or see. I want to live this life to the very last day. And when I stop living, when I stop being the person who I am right now, it's okay. I'm giving you permission. Pull the plug. I don't want to be in a vegetative state for more than a week. So that's the answer, guys. Say that to your wife. Have this conversation. And it's hard. This is weird. It's hard even saying it to the camera. I'm just looking at myself in the camera and I'm recording it, and it's hard. But have these conversations. In the case of your death, what kind of funeral did you want to have? Do you want to have just a small, close-knit family? Do you want to invite everybody you know? For me, if it's at work, I'm probably going to have I want the fireman funeral, which is, if you've never been to a firefighter funeral, we do it right. There's bagpipes and everybody gets dressed up and they look sharp. That's what I want. But I would like to be cremated. I think, hopefully I have a long, full career, 30, 35 years as a firefighter, and I'm going to win every single time. I'm just going to kick fire's butt. But I want to let it have one. It gets me at the end, right? So I want to be cremated. And actually I have a plan. I'm hoping, I'm in my 90s and I have grandkids. And what I would like to do is I would like to separate my ashes into small little vials, and I want to give them to all my grandkids. And I want to provide the funds for them to go travel someplace that I went, that I experienced, and they can drop me off. If I got a really, one of my grandkids wants to be a mountain climber, I want you to go to Ecuador, climb Cotopaxi, and then drop my ashes off there. I think that would be so cool. My granddaughter, go to Rome, because that was a really cool place, and drop that off. And hopefully I've got a lot more cool places that they can go, but that's what I want. I know I joked with my dad, but I think I'm going to do this. When my dad passes away, he wants to be cremated, and I'm going to take some of his ashes and put it into one or two shotgun shells, and I'm going to kill a turkey with my dad. Literally, I'm going to shoot a turkey, and a little piece of my dad's going to go with him. And I it's sad to think about my dad passing away, but those memories are cool that I'll be able to incorporate that. So figure out what would be fun. We had a very sweet lady in my life. She passed away, and she told her husband, I want an ice cream truck. So when everyone leaves the funeral, they get ice cream on me. And a funeral's going to be sad and it's going to be emotional. I think you can, by taking away the planning part, you can help your family and maybe give them something like an ice cream truck or, a trip to Spain or something. Like, come up with a plan and discuss it or write it down. The next part is, what words could you say to encourage your family in the hardest parts? And I would want to tell my family that I love them and I live the life that I wanted to. And, just give them the words, give them your voice, either on pen, paper, video. Let them know that it's okay, and encourage them. Let them know that, you're happy with the way it turns out. And if you're not, get there. If you've got bitterness, anxiety, angst towards somebody, get rid of that right now, because you're not really promised tomorrow. Tell them what you want their future to look like without you. Now, this is a tough one as a man. There's like, do you tell your wife she can get remarried and all that? What I want for my family is I want them to figure out how to live comfortably without me. And then if they need to bring somebody into their life, once they figure that out, to do that. And that's okay. Now that's not what I want, but that I want them to be happy, right? I don't want to leave them, but I don't want them to feel like that they have an obligation to me, the spirit of me, to not be happy. I want them to I want to give them permission to have good days. I think in tragedy, someone passes away and you feel, you have all these emotions. Like I've told people, I'm at work, we do CPR, and I would go tell a lady that her husband of 50 years has just died, and they do really strange things. Like they'll start cleaning the house. And you realize that they don't know how to act. Nobody knows how to act. And if you're ever around somebody and they die and they start doing something that doesn't seem appropriate to you, just realize there's no appropriate response. They'll start cleaning or, And one thing I think people struggle with in grief is that when they feel good, when they have a good day, when I die, I'm assuming it will be a bad day for everybody. And then 10 days later, maybe it's a good day and, something funny happened. It's okay. I give you permission to have a good day. Hopefully lots of good days. Hopefully lots of happiness. So hopefully the memories are good. One of the things that's hard when people die is no one else knows how to interact with them. Like you just pretend like nothing happened. And I want you to talk about me. Rick, I want you to tell stories, and I want you to be happy when you think about me. So I'm giving you permission to be happy. I'm giving you permission to move on. I'm giving you permission to talk about me. Like don't forget me. Don't assume that bringing me up is going to be a bad thing. Talk about me. Like I give you permission to do that. It's okay. Some of the things that I think you could share with someone is, what happy moments would you like? What do I want my wife to share with my kids, especially if they're younger? What stories do I want her to tell me? Like, give those to her. What sums my life up? What adventures or mistakes or challenges am I going through that kind of give me life? So give your family those stories. Like, write them down. I want you to tell my grandkids, if I'm not here, this story and this story and this story, so that, because you forget things, you do, and you get to curate the memory that your grandkids have that maybe you'll never meet. So I think that's important, is to help your family with those stories, with those ideas, with the maybe the principles that you really want. I think that those things are important. Some things that I think you could share with your spouse before you die is that some of your biggest regrets. I think we get to learn from others, and I think those are better lessons, right? To learn from others. It's much easier to learn from others, and so share that. Share some of your biggest regrets. Share some of your biggest worries, and maybe how you overcame that, or how you didn't, and how you're still dealing with that. Share that information. And just, I think it's important for, everybody, that you do have the idea that you are going to pass away, and then live like that. I don't know the right words. I don't want to say one of my greatest blessings, but one of the assets that I have in my life is that I have been at the end of a lot of other people's lives. I've been the last person to put my hands on somebody before they died. I've had to see the grieving response of a spouse when I told them that their loved one has passed away. And while it's hard and it's traumatic, it's given me a really great outlook on life. You are going to die. The question is, how are you going to live? It's a guaranteed. Dying a death is a guaranteed. Living a good life takes work. It takes effort. It takes, some responsibility. It takes doing things that maybe you don't want to do because it's uncomfortable, like having a conversation about death. Talk to your parents. Ask your parents, or in the nature of things, they're going to be passing away before you. Ask them the questions I asked. How long do you want to be in a vegetative state? Do you want to be resuscitated? I will tell you that the CPR, the end of life moment for a known sick person. So like if you've got terminal cancer, you've got some disease, or if you've got TMB, you know what TMB is? It's the leading cause of death in the elderly. It kills men greater than women. TMB is too many birthdays. So if you're elderly and you're getting up to that point, you're going to pass away. And the moment of death when you call 911 and we have to perform CPR is a very violent, not peaceful experience. And I don't think anybody wants that. I know I don't. My plan is to live a healthy life, and I want to have one bad day at the end, in my late 90s, where I'm totally with it, and then I just have a bad day and I die, and I don't want CPR. I don't want to be resuscitated. If I've lived a good long life, that was the day to go. I don't want some young paramedic like me doing CPR in my chest. And I'm going to tell my family. I'm going to write it down. I'm going to get a do not resuscitate order. Like, this stuff is important. I've had the unfortunate responsibility of showing up and a very sick person, like stage 4 lung cancer, obviously just weight loss, and just looks like a human skeleton. And I will say, we don't want to do CPR because we understand the consequences, that it's not going to work. And we'll say, do they have a DNR? And they'll say, no, I want you to do everything. So we start doing CPR, and we're 2 minutes in, and they realize this is a violent thing. We're compressing their chest 2 inches. We're starting an IV, we're putting a tube, and then they go, no, I changed my mind. Unfortunately, legally, without paperwork, once we've initiated care, at least in the state of Michigan, we're going to do CPR for 30 minutes. For 30 minutes, we're going to push on your loved one's chest, collapsing it 2 inches. We're going to start IVs. We're going to be ventilating. It's I use the word violent because it is. We are physically manipulating their body at an extremely fast rate, very hard, for 30 minutes. And for someone who's got terminal problems, meaning too many birthdays, terminal cancer, something that this was just going to be the last day no matter what, CPR is almost 0% effective. But when you call 911, we have a moral obligation to do that, a legal obligation at least. So get the paperwork signed. That is my plan. Have a plan. Go pick out your casket. Go pick out your songs. Make it easy for your family. Make it easy on your wife, easy on your kids, because it's going to be a hard day. It's going to be a bad day. But if they're financially taken care of, if you've given them some instructions so they don't have to think about it, they can just show up and enjoy your memory, your homegoing service. That's what you want. That's what I want. And so I would encourage you to have these hard conversations. Write them down. Make a plan. This is one of the best gifts you can give to your family on the hardest day of their lives. Like what other thing could you give that could make someone's life so much better on the worst day? I think the statement when someone dies is, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say, but I'm praying for you. I'm thinking about you, all those things. Well, right now, you can actually do something to make that day better. And I encourage you to do that. Have the hard conversations. Being a man, being a husband, father, and leader is about doing hard things. And this is it. Writing this down, having this conversation is going to allow you to earn your title. This is the Earn Your Title podcast. My name is Danny Dumas, and I will see you later. Bye.